Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in, just imagine breathing in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close and position your body in a way that you can feel relaxed. As you breathe in, just imagine breathing in that feeling of calmness, relaxation and tranquility. And imagine that feeling going in through your nose, into your lungs. And as you exhale, notice where any feelings of tension is in your body and feel like you're releasing that tension in your outward breath. That's it. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a bright, vibrant color that represents resourcefulness. A particular combination of resources like confidence, courage, and calmness. Maybe it's bright like yellow or orange, and just imagine that as you breathe in, you're breathing in that bright color of calmness, confidence, and courage, going in through your nose into your lungs. And as you exhale, I want you to notice that it's a darker color leaving your body. So any anxieties, any tension, any fears, that represents the shadows that are leaving your body in that outward breath. Breathing in that bright color of resourcefulness and exhaling that tension, that anxiety, that worry. Almost like you're experiencing an emotional transfusion. The resources you need are going in, and those feelings you don't need are leaving your body. As you breathe, you're breathing slower and deeper than you normally would. And just feel that you're becoming deeper and deeper relaxed, but also feeling more calm, more relaxed, more confident with each and every breath. I want you to imagine that you're in a room, an empty room, with just a table. And on that table looks like a VR headset, very high-tech. This is the most high-tech VR headset that's ever been created. And when you put it on, it's not just that you see things that look like reality, but it has the technology that you feel like wherever you are is also real. Imagine putting this VR headset on, and it looks like you're in your own home about to leave for a short flight, maybe just a couple of hours away. I want you to notice that you're still breathing in a slow, steady way. And you notice that you're smiling, excited to go to that destination. This is the easy level on this VR game that enables you to experience flight as if you're actually flying. I want you to imagine you're traveling to the airport. You can imagine what it would be like to have the luggage by your side going into that airport. Maybe checking in, going through airport security. Maybe trying on some fragrances in the duty-free and then waiting in the departure lounge. And I want you to notice how relaxed you feel. Slow, steady breathing. You feel calm, you feel confident. The evaluations are that you're looking forward to this flight. You can handle this flight. And I want you to imagine that you board the plane, still feeling relaxed, It's time for the plane to take off. It accelerates, and you know there's going to be this 3 or 4 seconds where it takes off. And you just feel your belly go a little bit. But you're fine with it. You know it doesn't last very long. And before you know it, you're up there flying. You notice the sunshine, the steady weather, hardly any wind, and you just get a sense this is safe. This is only a 2-hour flight, but I want you to imagine that even in that 2 hours you drift off into a sleep. You're asleep on that plane, and your mind is open to new powerful suggestions about how to think about flying. Your mind is open to the idea that you are safe and secure whenever you fly, no matter what the weather or conditions. That whenever you feel anxiety, you can just take a deep breath in, hold that anxiety, and feel it leaving your body in your outward breath. That your mind is focused and clear during flights. It's natural for you to feel a sense of calm and confidence. That when you're on a plane, you trust in the expertise of the pilots. You know those pilots have studied a long time. You feel safe. You know the engineers have checked that plane many, many times. You get a sense that you're trusting the people involved, that you are safe. That your mind and your body are resilient, adapting effortlessly to any changes in altitude or movement. There you are asleep on that plane, and just allow yourself to release any past negative experiences or associations with flying, allowing yourself to embrace a new and positive perspective. From this point onwards, whenever you think about flying in the future, you will imagine seeing yourself like you're someone else, looking calm and confident and courageous. Imagine from leaving your home to getting your destination, you can see a version of you that is capable and confident. And I want you to see that smile on your face whenever you land, to know that by changing how you think about flying, the world becomes a bigger, more exciting place. So many more places to visit and people to see. And that your tool is your breathing. That whenever you feel any anxiety, you can just take a deep breath in, hold your breath, imagine the anxiety, and then on that outward breath, just feel like it's leaving your body. Your inner dialogue has changed. Now the evaluations are confident and calm, evaluating that everything's going to be okay, and that anything stressful or uncertain will be temporary and manageable. And then just imagine hearing on the speakers that you're about to descend. That flight has gone so quickly, you didn't even realize. Just imagine you can feel the sensation, a little bump as the wheels touch on the runway. Now maybe there's 2 or 3 people in the plane that start to clap, just as their own coping mechanism to deal with their own anxiety, and it brings a smile to your face. Then maybe we should be clapping for this kind of thing. And then imagine that you have this enjoyable holiday, but imagine that it's now level 2 on this VR game of flying. And you're about to arrive at the airport for a longer flight. maybe a 4 or 5 hour flight, but this time the weather is cloudy and rainy. But again, you feel excited. Just imagine you're on your way to the airport, breathing slowly. Maybe there's someone with you, and they're more anxious about flying than you are, so you're going to be the example of what it means to be calm and confident. Just imagine that you're getting on your seats. You can see they're anxious, but hear yourself as you tell them it will be fine. Nothing to worry about. Feel yourself taking off, knowing that any uncertainty over the takeoff is temporary, it doesn't last very long. And before you know it, you're up there at that steady altitude. And notice how quickly you're more interested in the movies or the food, or getting a chance to sleep or read a book. It feels very much like you're just on a train. When you're on a train, you don't think about the speed that it's going. You just treat it like you arrive on this vehicle, and when it's time to get off, it's time to get off. And I want you to imagine you can see a storm outside the window, and yet you realize that planes fly in storms all the time. It doesn't bother you. Still breathing slow and relaxed. And then imagine you descend to your destination, hit the runway, and leave that airport. Not with a sense of relief, but just acceptance. This is how you feel when you fly now. And then I want you to imagine it's the most challenging level. As you breathe in and breathe out, just accept that. If turbulence was a major issue in flying, then planes wouldn't exist. Pilots are trained to deal with turbulence, so it doesn't bother them. They just accept that there's things they need to do and they'll do them. And I want you to imagine you're arriving at this airport for a destination that's on the other side of the world, over an ocean. And yet you still feel calm and confident. I want you to imagine that you board the plane, but the way that your posture is, your muscle tension, you just feel so relaxed. Breathing slow from the diaphragm. Having a sense that you can handle this, you can manage this. It takes off. No issues, but I want you to see that it does look very stormy weather outside. And yet you're unfazed. Immersing yourself in different movies or different music, or maybe even a book. Maybe you even decide to sleep, and then I want you to imagine hearing on the announcement speaker that the plane is approaching turbulence. And I want your inner dialogue to make the evaluation that this is undesirable but manageable, and feel like you're activating that courageous part of you, where you activate whatever resources are needed to deal with the challenging situation, knowing that you're going to be fine. And I want you to imagine you can feel the plane jolting and shaking. Maybe it just drops suddenly, and yet notice you're still breathing from your diaphragm. On that outward breath, you can still release tension. And I want you to relax those muscles there in the gut. You can do that by focusing on that tension And as you breathe out, placing your hand on your diaphragm just there next to the gut, feel that you're releasing any tension, any anxiety. Just feel it leave your body. And maybe this turbulence lasts for 2 hours of uncertainty. And then suddenly everything is calm. A few minutes later, the seatbelt sign gets switched off, and you see the attendant starting to go down the aisle with a food trolley and drinks. And you get a sense that you managed it, you coped with it. It wasn't fun, it wasn't desirable, but you handled it. And you make the evaluation that if you handled that, you can handle anything. That flying is no longer something you fear. You've experienced the worst it could possibly be, and it doesn't faze you anymore. And if your unconscious mind is ready to make the evaluation that a fear of flying is now in your past, that you've activated the resources and the ways of thinking to be able to handle it and manage it in a way that serves you, just let me know by nodding your head. And then imagine an hour goes by and it's time to touch down. Touch down in this destination on the other side of the world, and just imagine having the best time there. Seeing things you thought you'd never see. Having experiences you thought you'd never experience. Eating foods you thought you'd never taste. And then imagine it's the return flight. Just as long, but the weather's better. And you just get a sense of feeling that you've dealt with something challenging, so nothing phases you anymore. So maybe that 9 or 10 hour flight back feels like nothing. You can just sleep through most of it, only to wake up to watch a movie or eat a meal. Imagine landing back in the local airport near to your home, maybe getting a taxi or driving back, and on that journey back making the evaluation that this is just one of these things that you don't have to worry about anymore. That your resources and how you now think about flying mean that you can cope with it. You can handle it, and it no longer bothers you. I want you to feel like you're still in that room, that large empty room, and you take the VR headset off. And you make the evaluation that the difference between a VR experience and actually being on a plane makes no difference once it's a memory. Your brain was processing it in exactly the same way. And if you can do it in your imagination, you can do it in reality. And you are looking forward to your next flight to test out new ways of breathing, thinking and feeling so that you could now enjoy flying and that the world is now your oyster. I want you to feel like you're returning to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, get a sense that you're fully returning back into this moment in time, listening to my voice firmly in the present as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.